Welcome to our deep dive today,
Okay.
where we're going to be taking a look at how one of your favorite retailers is doing
Yeah.
in this crazy economy. We're talking about TJX companies,
Uh-huh.
the parent company of those off-price stores
Right.
like TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and Home Goods.
That's right.
Okay.
We'll be focusing on their recent performance
Yeah.
based on two key documents, their Form 8K filing with the SEC,
Got it.
and the press release they issued for their third quarter of fiscal year 2025,
Okay.
which ended on November 2nd.
Perfect. So let's jump right in.
Okay.
One of the first things that caught my eye was this 3% increase in consolidated comparable store sales,
Right.
or comp sales, as they sometimes call it.
Yeah.
What does this number tell us?
Well, comp sales is a really important metric in retail
Okay.
because it tracks sales growth in stores that have been open for at least a year.
Yeah?
So a 3% increase
Yeah.
means more people are shopping at TJX even with inflation still sticking around.
Right.
That's good news for you if you love a good bargain.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
It's like they're bucking the trend in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But sales are one thing. What about their profits? Are they actually making money?
Oh, they're definitely making money.
Okay.
Their pre-tax profit margin,
Mm-hmm.
which is essentially the percentage of sales they keep as profit before taxes,
Okay.
jumped to 12.3% this quarter.
Right.
That's up 0.3 percentage points
Oh,
from the same time last year.
okay. Break that down for me.
Sure.
What does a higher profit margin actually mean for shoppers like me?
Essentially, it means they're getting better at controlling costs
Okay.
and making more money from each sale.
Right.
So it could actually lead to even better deals for you down the line.
I like the sound of that.
Now, the press release points to a few things that help boost their profitability.
Okay.
Some favorable timing of expenses, cost savings they achieved, and higher net interest income.
Hold on.
Okay.
Net interest income.
Right.
Sounds pretty technical.
Yeah.
Can you demystify that one for me?
Sure.
Okay.
Net interest income is basically the money a company earns from its cash and investments
Mm-hmm.
minus the interest it pays on any debt.
Got it.
So higher net interest income
Yeah.
suggests they're managing their finances well
Okay.
and earning more from their investments.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's not just about selling more, it's also about how they manage their money overall.
Mm-hmm.
Smart move, TJX.
Right.
But their success isn't limited to the U.S., is it?
Not at all.
Oh, really?
Their international performance is actually quite impressive.
Okay.
We're talking a 7% increase in comparable store sales for TJX International,
Okay.
which includes their stores in Europe and Australia.
Wow. 7% is a huge jump,
Right.
especially compared to their U.S. results.
Yeah,
What do you think is driving that international success?
that's a great question.
Yeah.
And there are a few things to consider.
Okay.
Maybe shoppers in Europe and Australia are feeling a bit more confident about the economy right now.
I see.
Or perhaps the treasure hunt aspect of
Yeah.
off-price shopping just resonates more strongly in those cultures.
I've always wondered about that treasure hunt thing.
Yeah.
It's like, is it really that much of a treasure hunt if they're doing it so well?
Right.
Their inventory management must be super strategic.
You're right.
Yeah,
Inventory management is absolutely crucial for a company like TJX.
I imagine.
They've got to keep those shelves stocked with fresh, exciting finds
Uh-huh.
while also controlling costs.
Right.
And they're doing a pretty good job of it.
Okay.
Their per-store inventory is actually down 2% compared to last year.
Way down.
Yeah.
How can that be?
Well,
You'd think they'd need more inventory to support those growing sales numbers,
Right.
especially internationally.
It's all about efficiency.
Okay.
They're getting really good at predicting what shoppers want
Mm-hmm.
and making sure they have the right products at the right time.
Right.
Remember, that treasure hunt feeling is part of their brand identity.
Okay.
They don't want their stores overflowing with merchandise.
Hmm.
They want to create that sense of scarcity and excitement.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
They're basically masters of creating that,
Right.
I can't believe I found this moment.
Exactly.
But speaking of expansion,
Yeah.
I noticed TJX has been making some big moves in new markets.
Absolutely.
Like what?
They just finalized a joint venture with Grupo Axo in Mexico,
Okay.
which gives them a significant presence in Latin America.
Interesting.
They also acquired a 35% stake in Brands for less,
Got it.
a leading off-price retailer in the Middle East.
Okay.
These are strategic moves designed to fuel future growth.
It sounds like they're betting big on the global appeal of the off-price model,
Uh-huh.
but expanding into new territories takes a lot of resources.
Right.
How's their financial situation looking? Can they actually afford these bold moves?
Well, they certainly seem to have the financial firepower. In the third quarter alone, they returned $997 million to shareholders
Okay.
through share repurchases and dividends.
Wow.
And get this, they've bumped up their stock repurchase plan to a range of $2.25 to $2.5 billion for the full fiscal year.
Whoa, that's a lot of money going back to investors.
It
I'm
is.
no Wall Street whiz, but that seems like a pretty strong signal that they're confident about their future. What do you think?
I agree. Share repurchases usually indicate that a company believes its stock is undervalued.
Okay.
It's like they're saying, we believe in our future so much
Yeah.
that we're buying back our own stock.
A powerful statement for sure.
Yeah.
So they're performing well, expanding strategically, and rewarding their shareholders.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, it seems like TJX is firing on all cylinders.
Right.
But what about their outlook for the rest of the year?
Yeah.
Are they expecting this momentum to continue?
They are. For
Okay.
the fourth quarter, they're projecting a comparable store sales increase of 2% to 3%.
That's slightly lower than their third quarter growth?
Right.
Is that a cause for concern?
Not necessarily.
No.
Remember, they had a really strong third quarter.
All right.
And they're also going up against tough comparisons from last year's holiday season.
Oh, that's true.
So a slight slowdown is to be expected.
I see.
But even 2% to 3% growth in this environment is pretty impressive.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about their overall earnings for the full fiscal year?
Well, they've actually raised their full year earnings per share guidance
Okay.
to a range of $4.15 to $4.17.
So they're actually expecting to earn more than they initially predicted.
Exactly.
Wow.
And that's a really positive sign. Companies usually only raise their guidance when they're feeling very confident about their performance. Now, to understand the full context of this, we need to know what Wall Street analysts were expecting.
Right. How does their performance stack up against those expert predictions?
Yeah.
That's what I'm always curious about. Maybe we can dig into that a little deeper.
Hold on.
Oh.
Remember, we don't have any breaks during these deep dives.
Oh, you're right.
We keep the information flowing for maximum learning power.
My bad. So let's get right to it.
Okay.
What were those analysts expecting, and how does TJX's performance measure up?
Right. You're right to be curious about those analyst expectations.
Yeah.
It gives us a benchmark for how the company is actually performing. Unfortunately, we don't have the specific analyst estimates
Right.
in the documents you provided.
Okay, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
But can we still glean any insights from the fact that they raised their earnings guidance?
Absolutely. Think of it this way.
Okay.
Companies are usually pretty cautious when it comes to setting expectations.
Right.
So when they raise their earnings guidance, it's a pretty strong sign that they're exceeding even their own internal projections, which suggests they're likely outperforming what analysts were expecting.
So it's like they're saying, hey, we're doing even better than we thought, and probably better than you thought, too.
Exactly. And that can have a really positive impact on their stock price.
Right.
Because investors love to see companies that can deliver strong results.
Right.
Especially in a somewhat uncertain economic environment.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's all about exceeding expectations.
Right.
Now, let's circle back to something we touched on earlier, that impressive 7% comp sales growth for TJX International.
Yeah.
I'm still really curious about what's driving that success,
Yeah.
especially compared to the more moderate growth in the U.S.
Well, remember, different regions are experiencing the current economic conditions in different ways. So it's possible that the economic climate in Europe and Australia is currently more favorable to off-price retail. Consumer spending is influenced by things like inflation, interest rates, and overall economic confidence. And those factors can vary significantly from country to country.
It's like a ripple effect. The global economy influences local economies, which then influences how people shop, and ultimately how companies like TJX perform in different regions.
Precisely. But beyond the broader economic picture, there are other things to consider.
Like what?
For example, maybe the off-price model itself just resonates more strongly with consumers in Europe and Australia.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
The appeal of finding designer brands at a discount is pretty universal.
Right.
But it's possible that cultural factors or even just different shopping habits could be amplifying that appeal in certain markets.
Right.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Okay.
Maybe there's a stronger emphasis on value seeking in those cultures.
Interesting.
Or perhaps the traditional department store model isn't as dominant,
right?
Giving off-price retailers like TJX more room to thrive.
Yeah.
It's definitely something to consider.
It's like they found a sweet spot in those markets. And it makes you wonder if they're doing so well internationally.
Yeah.
Could it eventually impact what we see in stores here in the U.S.?
Right.
Could we see even better deals or a wider selection of brands because of their international success?
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
And it's definitely possible. Companies are always learning and adapting based on their experiences in different markets.
Right.
So yes, their success overseas could potentially influence their strategies and offerings in the U.S.
Got it.
But we also have to remember that TJX might just be executing exceptionally well in those international markets.
Okay.
They might have nailed their merchandising strategies or marketing campaigns in a way that's really clicking with consumers in Europe and Australia.
It's like they've cracked the code for those specific markets, and now they're using that knowledge to expand even further with those investments in Mexico and the Middle East.
Right.
It's pretty impressive when you think about it.
It is.
Yeah.
And it speaks to their ambition and their belief in the global appeal of the off-price model. They're not content to just sit back and enjoy their current success.
Right.
They're actively looking for new ways to grow and evolve.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up our discussion of their Q3 performance, what are some key takeaways for those of us who are interested in understanding the bigger picture of retail and consumer behavior?
I think one of the most important takeaways is that despite economic uncertainty, consumers are still prioritizing value.
Okay.
People are being more careful about where they spend their money.
Right.
And they're gravitating towards retailers that can offer high-quality products at a discount.
So basically, companies that can deliver that more bang for your buck experience are winning in this environment.
Exactly. And TJX is a prime example of that.
Right.
Another key takeaway is that the off-price model appears to have global appeal and has the potential to become even more prominent in the retail landscape in the coming years.
Got it.
So we could see more and more off-price stores popping up in different parts of the world, offering those sought-after deals on everything from clothing and home goods to beauty products and more.
It's like a waves of off-price retail is sweeping the globe.
Yeah.
And TJX is riding that wave.
They are. And their strong financial performance, coupled with their commitment to returning value to shareholders, suggests they are a well-managed company with a solid strategy for the future.
That's reassuring, especially for those of us who love shopping at their stores.
Right.
Now, before we wrap up this deep dive,
I
had one more thought.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the present and the future of TJX and the off-price model.
Right.
But I'm curious about the past.
Okay.
What historical factors led to the rise of this type of retail in the first place?
Right.
Where did it all begin?
That's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
And it takes us back to a time when the retail landscape looked quite different.
Okay.
To understand the roots of off-price retail, we need to go back to the mid-20th century.
Okay.
When department stores were the kings of the retail world.
Ah, the golden age of department stores.
Yeah.
Everyone dressed up to go shopping, right?
Yeah.
What happened to change that landscape?
A few key things.
Okay.
One was the rise of mass production.
Okay.
As manufacturing techniques became more efficient,
Right.
companies started producing more goods, often leading to surpluses.
Okay.
These surpluses created an opportunity for retailers to buy products at a discount.
I see.
And pass those savings along to consumers.
So it's like an economic domino effect. Increased production led to lower prices, which created an opening for a new kind of retail experience.
Exactly.
Got it.
And at the same time, consumer demand for value was growing.
Okay.
After World War II, a new middle class emerged with a desire for quality goods, but often with limited budgets.
Sure.
Off-price retailers offered a way for these shoppers to access desirable brands without breaking the bank.
So it was the perfect storm, a confluence of economic forces and evolving consumer preferences that paved the way for off-price retail to take root and flourish.
Precisely.
Interesting.
And TJX was particularly adept at capitalizing on these trends. Their treasure hunt model, with its constantly changing assortment of discounted merchandise, tapped into the thrill of the hunt and the satisfaction of finding a great deal.
It's like they created a shopping experience that was both exciting and budget-friendly, which is a pretty powerful combination.
It is.
And that brings us to today.
Yeah.
Where TJX stands as a retail giant.
Right.
Skillfully navigating the ever-evolving world of off-price fashion and home goods.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Their recent performance is a testament to their ability to not only keep up with current trends, but to actively shape the future of retail.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener?
Right.
Well, as we head into a future where economic conditions remain somewhat uncertain, keep an eye on how retailers like TJX adapt and evolve. Their success offers valuable insights for all of us.
Yeah.
Whether we're investors, consumers, or simply curious observers of the retail world.
It underscores the enduring appeal of value.
Right.
The importance of adapting to changing consumer preferences. And the potential rewards of strategic expansion.
So the next time you're browsing the aisles at your favorite TJX store, take a moment to appreciate the forces that brought you there, the historical shifts, the economic trends, and the clever strategies of a company that has mastered the art of the deal.
Absolutely.
And remember...
Hold on. What now?
Remember, there are no breaks.
Oh, right.
We're diving straight into the final thoughts on this deep dive into TJX.
Got it.
So to wrap things up.
What's the one thing you want our listeners to walk away with today?
Okay.
What's the big takeaway from this whole deep dive?
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
We've explored TJX's impressive financial performance, their strategic expansion plans, and even delved into the historical roots of the off-price model. But what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I think the most important message is that knowledge is power.
Okay.
Especially in today's dynamic retail landscape.
Right.
The more you understand about the forces shaping the market, the economic trends, the consumer behaviors, the competitive strategies, the better equipped you are to make informed decisions as a shopper.
That's so true.
Yeah.
It's like once you understand how a company like TJX operates, you can really appreciate the thought and strategy that goes into creating those treasure hunt moments. And delivering those incredible deals. It's not just luck. It's smart business. And that knowledge can also empower you to be a more savvy shopper in general. By paying attention to broader economic trends. And understanding how different retailers operate. You can make smarter choices about where you spend your money and how you get the most value for your hard-earned dollars.
It's like leveling up your shopping game.
Exactly.
We become a more informed consumer. And that can lead to finding even better deals, discovering new brands, and ultimately feeling more satisfied with your purchases.
Precisely.
So the next time you're at TJ Maxx or Marshall's, think about all the factors that have converged to create that moment. The global supply chains, the strategic inventory management, the keen understanding of consumer psychology. It's a fascinating microcosm of the retail world. And it all comes together to offer you, the shopper, that unique and rewarding experience.
And who knows, maybe you'll even spot a future trend while you're browsing those racks. Maybe you'll notice a new brand that's gaining traction. Or a particular style that's starting to pop up everywhere by paying attention. You can become not just a shopper, but a trendsetter.
Absolutely. And remember, the retail world is constantly evolving. So stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring those aisles. You never know what treasures you might uncover.
That's a perfect note to end on.
It is.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of TJX and off-price retail.
It was fun.
We hope you've enjoyed this insightful journey. And that you'll come back for more deep dives into the fascinating world of business and consumer trends.
Absolutely.
Until next time, happy shopping.